I apologize. I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you make the creepy, churchy music in 80s, like, shitty keyboard fashion?
Oh, yeah.
Is that doable? Because I'm imagining, like, Sanctus Dominus, but, like, with a shitty keyboard.
My understanding is that what you've just described is essentially Blue Oyster Cult's career.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now my mind
this
is
is
a soundtrack.
like Don't Fear the Reaper is all over the soundtrack. That's right.
Yeah.
Also, like, stuff with that like electronic drums and all that stuff, you know, Phil Collins.
Bunch of Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Tears for Fears.
Yeah, me
well,
too.
I love one of their songs.
All right, we did it. That was our 80s quotient for this act of the film. Let's return. Welcome to Collaboratory, the podcast where we unearth the pieces of our favorite old stories and stitch them together into a brand new abomination. My name is Claire Mulkerin. Joining me this week are Kit Mulkerin.
Fuck, I keep forgetting we need to do this part.
That's all right. Miles Schneiderman.
Wait, are we not supposed to drink it?
What did you just drink?
Whatever was in the lab.
All right.
Clearly. Get on the same page with me, Claire. Come on, get on my level.
We are about to improv.
And Megan Bob.
Hi.
Great.
Am I the only one who can... All right.
No, I didn't know we were supposed to do anything. I thought we were just, like, hanging out in this lab.
Are we doing mad science improv this whole time? Is that the idea?
I mean, are we
I
not?
wasn't.
right.
That is me doing mad science improv. I'm being a friendly lab assistant.
All right, so for those of you who didn't listen to the last one of these, this is a structure that we came up with for Smash Metafiction, which is our fun bonus episode, different structure things that we're doing, and it was such a big hit that we want to do another one, because it's real fun. The basic idea of this show is that every one of us brought a character and some other sort of plot element, and we are all going to reveal what we brought and see if we can stitch them together into some sort of story. We're going to shoot for making a high-concept 90s film in the style of the book Save the Cat, which is a seminal book on screenwriting that creates solid, if somewhat predictable and formulaic, and not necessarily the best thing in the world, but totally like functional types of story movie things. All right, everybody, it is time for us to open those Tupperwares, unwrap the foil, see what everyone brought to the potluck. All of us brought a character, and then one of us also brought a setting, one of us brought a goal, one of us brought a MacGuffin, and one of us brought a genre. The last time we did setting first, but Kit has setting this time. She's insisting she wants to go last, so we may change the order a little bit. So I'm going to go first. The character that I brought is Quasimodo from the Disney version of The Hunchback of Notre-Dame.
Yay!
He is a person who is sort of like deformed and lives away from the rest of humanity. He is sort of like an urban legend. He's like whispered about, but he doesn't actually interact with other people directly. He does have this caretaker, though, of Frollo, who's actually like abusive and telling him bad things about the world and leaving him to believe that the world is a more cruel place than it actually is. In the movie, he's actually like really pure and really nice and inspires other people around him to become like a better version of themselves if they actually take the time to know him. But if they don't take the time to know him, they just think of him as like a monster. A sort of similar archetype in a way to this is Frankenstein's monster in the original novel of Frankenstein, which is this being that lives away from the rest of the world and has the potential to be really nice if people give it a chance, as ends up happening in the Disney version of Hunchback of Notre Dame, or it has the ability to go bad and he could become even more of a monster like he does in Frankenstein, or things could end tragically for everyone involved like they do in the original novel of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But anyway, I just like the idea of this character who starts off loyal to this bad person and who can go like a lot of different interesting ways, can become good, could remain loyal to this bad person, could turn against the person who he serves and like hate all of humanity and stuff like that. I just think it's a really interesting character type. So, Miles, what character did you bring?
The character that I brought is my favorite comic book character, Molly Hayes from The Runaways.
Yes!
I thought you were going to say Jesse Custer.
No. Molly is like, I think an 11 or 12-year-old girl. She is a mutant. Her superpower is that she is extremely strong, but after she uses her powers, she has to go take a nap because it makes her sleepy. No. She's extraordinarily, like, quippy, and she's one of the most quotable and funniest characters in the Runaways comics, but she's also weirdly insightful. very intelligent, but tries to hide it a lot of the time. Definitely a lot smarter than she pretends to be. I really like Molly, and I think she's going to be a lot of fun in this game.
So far, we have 2, pure and innocent people. Uh-oh, we're going to Bob. We'll see if that trend continues.
I chose Scully from X-Files.
Oh, that's great.
Interesting.
Just no nonsense, sciencey skeptic type. And I will be honest, I've only seen very, very little X-Files. But I have a lot of love for the fact that she is deadpan almost all the time. And her attitude towards most things is you're overreacting. Why are you being so weird? This is perfectly fine. Come on. And I just adore it. The scenes where she's on a phone and then Mulder's on a phone and the situations they're in are wildly divergent. It's just a delight to me.
Bob, that made me so happy that you picked her because of who I picked.
Oh, no. Okay, that's our segue.
All right, Kit, who'd you pick?
What did you do?
Slender Man.
Dude! Why would you? How dare you choose my boyfriend?
So, I think this time I have a MacGuffin that's going to be very, similar. We might have picked 2 similar, in some ways. We'll have to see. This is, just going to be a movie.
We will definitely have to see, because wait till we get to my genre.
Wait till we get to my goal.
For this. I'm very excited. All right, cool.
All right,
so far we got Quasimodo, Molly Hayes, Scully, and Slender Man.
Should I explain who Slender Man is? Or have people
explain
heard
Slender Man.
about
I'm
him
sorry,
enough
explain
on
Slender
the
Man.
podcast?
Well, but the more we talk about him, the more we
explain
attract
for the
him.
new listeners.
Okay, and just in case you have no idea who Slender Man is, he is a supernatural monster, a urban legend created on the internet by the internet. He looks like a very tall male dressed in a suit, like a business suit, with arms that are too long. Where his head is, it's just blank white, no face. He's often seen photobombing in pictures of children, way in the background. He's often seen in photography of woods. He's always way in the background, kind of watching you. He's got a lot of creepy powers and abilities. You'll find out more.
I would like to point out both times that we've done this now, 3 people have picked humans who speak, and 1 person has picked a non-human who does not speak.
I mean, I have a brand.
That's fair. Now we're going back to me. I was assigned to bring the MacGuffin, which is an important object or thing that the plot centers around. Oftentimes people are fighting over it. Examples from fiction would include the Death Star plans in episode 4 of Star Wars. The MacGuffin that I picked this time is Journal 3 from Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls takes place in a town called Gravity Falls, which has a bunch of weird magical stuff happening there and sort of horror-y, monstery things. And the main characters find a journal that was written by someone who used to investigate and fight against these monsters. And it has a bunch of information in it about how to fight supernatural monsters. And yep, you see what I mean, guys? Anyway, all right.
Oh, boy.
I'm so excited already.
We are all on the same page this week. Other examples of this, there's a journal that serves a similar function in Supernatural, in which case it is a journal written by the dad of the Winchesters. There's also the Book of Shadows in Charmed. And actually, a similar sort of thing is the textbook that Harry Potter gets in The Half-Blood Prince.
So what you're telling me is all of these franchises have a monster manual.
Yes. So this is a monster manual. Now, the other thing that's interesting about it, though, that I would like to bring in if we can, is that it's personal. It's made by one person. It is their journal. And by reading the book, you learn about the person. It can't just be sort of functional the way the Book of Shadows is, and that it just teaches you how to fight monsters. Or we can go the route that they don't know who wrote the journal, and they're trying to figure out who it is. Or they can know who it is in the case of Supernatural, and it's their way of having a relationship with a character who's not present in the story. Maybe a dead mentor or something like that. So.
Okay.
All right, Miles, what did you have to bring apart from a character?
So, I was asked to bring a genre.
All right.
And I'm not making it up. The genre that I decided to bring was supernatural horror.
Yes!
Oh, wow.
I'm not even kidding. That's what I brought.
Okay, so my worry at this point is that this may not be weird enough. This is probably just going to be a normal movie.
With Slender Man in it.
This is going to be less Pirate Godzilla and more just this is just an X-Files movie. But we'll see what happens. All right, Bob, what other thing did you have to bring this week?
I had to bring the goal.
Okay.
And I chose the goal from the Royal Tenenbaums,
Which is what?
which is to bring an estranged family back together and remind them why they love each other.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
I am down with that.
That's not something you often see in horror movies with Slender Man in them.
My mind is already doing things with this. All right, I'm liking this.
It's
All
such a
right.
good movie, guys. If you haven't seen Royal Tenenbaums, go see it. It's also has a lot of problems, but it's very beautiful.
So, Kit, you wanted to go last. You better make it worth it, Kit. What was your other thing this week?
My setting is high school in the 80s.
Okay.
So that means that we have on the table.
We have Quasimodo, Molly
Yes.
Hayes, Scully, Slender Man.
Slenderman.
Yeah.
In a
And
high
then-
school in the 80s,
Yep. High school in
trying
the
to bring a
80s
family back together in the midst of a supernatural horror with a journal.
with the journal from Gravity Falls. All right.
Beautiful.
All right, so Principal Slenderman, obvious.
Obvi.
So the next step we have to do is we have to come up with the log line, which is like the one sentence pitch for what the story is about. What's the way that we sell this in like a trailer? All right, what are you guys thinking based on what we have with this stuff so far?
Okay, so we have an estranged family. Who's the family? Is it the two? Which of the humans are family?
Well, so we have Quasimodo, and Quasimodo's thing is that he's an outsider, right? So I feel like it seems natural to have him at the very least be a member of the family who is no longer speaking or whatever, right? Because he is that outsider character.
Yes.
That seems fair.
Living in the janitor's closet.
Oh,
Yeah. Much like the last time when we had buddy comedy and Godzilla, the first question was, is Godzilla in the buddy comedy or not? I think since we have family and Slenderman, the question is Slenderman in the family or not?
I don't think he is.
my soul is not going in that direction.
I have an answer for this. If we're talking about the journal as a way to get to know somebody, I like the idea that Slenderman is secretly somebody's grandfather or like whatever. And they're like, you know what? I didn't know who he was, but after reading this journal, oh no. Can the family come together?
Oh,
But
man,
even
oh my
though-
God.
I can imagine, like, Slenderman being the monster of the story, but the reveal at the end is that he's actually a member of the family.
I like
that
it.
would work.
He's evil grandpappy.
If the book is written by some sort of supernatural investigator, there could be a reveal that they did something supernatural to ascend to some higher plane and become Slenderman, which is the monster that they're currently fighting or whatever. And then two or perhaps all three of the other characters would be family members of that person who are getting together and investigating what they think might be a ghost and trying to put stuff together based on the journal and like following the clues and overcoming their estrangement and that kind of thing, right?
Okay.
Nice.
Oh man, I would just like to update the audience that talking about Slenderman this late at night, I've like creeped myself out now. Now I'm looking around my room.
Yeah, thanks.
You were the one who
Thanks.
brought Slenderman, so
I
Yeah.
know.
This is your own fault.
It is.
I feel like Molly attends the school. She's the only school-age person here.
okay.
Is Quasimodo not like a teenager?
Is he?
In the original book, he's 16. In the
Oh.
Disney movie, he's like 20.
Okay, you did say Disney, but he could
I
be
did.
like...
This is the archetype, not the character. So
Right,
we can
okay.
fudge all of this.
He could be
So he
like
could
the
be a
janitor.
student.
The janitor gets shit on a lot in like high school movies.
Okay.
Mm.
I like the idea of, and we don't necessarily have to do this, but I think it's important for Quasimodo to have the domineering person who's like keeping him away from other people. You know what I mean? Like
Slender
pushing
Man.
him
I was
down.
going to say, should that be Slenderman?
We could have him be like the sort of Renfields to Slenderman in this.
Do we actually want Slenderman to be secret principal or a secret
He's already
princess?
secret grandpa.
I know. Is that too much?
Well, I was
Secret
gonna say-
grandpa principal?
I was going to say, we could have, like, Slenderman be the monster, and there be, like, the person you think is the villain who's,
Oh.
like, the principal, right?
Yeah, it could
And
be
that's the
interesting
person
if
keeping Quasimodo down?
the principal plus Quasimodo could be like the sort of red herring-ish villains, and maybe they're like related to the main threat, but they don't actually end up being the bad thing, and the bad thing is actually Grandpa.
Ooh, do we
Okay.
want
Okay.
do we want Scully to be the principal? And like she doesn't believe Quasimodo when he's trying to like help the children by saying like no, there's a monster in this school somewhere.
I could see that. I could see her being investigative, but not seeing the supernatural signs. But I also like the idea of her being related to Quasimodo and that being a point of contention for both of them because some family stuff.
The other thing that we could do, if we want to keep all of these people in a family, we could have like Quasimodo be like a outcast kid who is like the maybe sibling of Molly, and like Scully's the mom or whatever, and they like, but he like stays in his room, or he's like run away from home and is like living somewhere else or something, but like hides away from the world or something like that.
I almost see him as that kid in To Kill a Mockingbird.
What kid is that?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Boo?
Boo is the grown-up, or there's Dill, who's the little neighbor kid.
No, I was thinking about Boo, like the kind of outcast, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that he's a member of the family, technically, but either they don't know that or they think he's too far gone, you know what I mean?
What if they like thought he was living with the grandfather, but actually the grandfather's like dead or missing and he's just like living in the abandoned house?
Ooh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with this.
And maybe like Molly decides to go try to visit them because it's been like their family's been sort of estranged for a while, and she's like trying to like mend fences, and then discovers that the grandpa's missing and hears about the house being haunted by this ghost that may have killed the grandpa, and like she brings Quasimodo out, and like the two of them go on this like ghost hunting adventure thing around town, like looking for clues and trying to figure out what the deal is with this monster. And then like the mom ends up tagging along, even though she's a skeptic and like a doctor and, you know, doesn't like this stuff. But the three of them end up having this adventure together and stuff like that.
Where does the high school come in?
Molly and Quasimodo both go to high school, and
That's not enough of a setting.
that's fair. That's fair.
Then it's not the
It
setting.
has to
Okay.
be in this, like, action has to happen in the school, primarily.
All we need to do is switch out the house for the school and find a reason for them to have been living there.
For Quasimodo to be living there?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he just work there? Why does he have to live there? Assistant principal.
I mean, like, he works there, but, like, he's also kept there, you know?
Why
He's
does he
kept
have
in
to,
a
but like,
cage.
why does he have to be kept there?
I think it's for age group stuff, and then also, is he being controlled by a more powerful person?
I think that we don't have to make him being controlled by a person, because that would require pulling in another character on the level of these four, and I think we want these four to be the main characters.
Yes.
Because we have to reunite this family, I think that the person controlling him has to be unrepentantly evil, and I don't think we have room for a
All right.
character like that among these four.
What about this? What about this? What about this? What if, like, they thought he was dead? Like, the family thought he was dead because there was this accident in the high school, and he's actually been, like, living, you know, in the shadows of the high school this whole time, and, like, Molly's convinced that he's not dead, and she wants to bring the family back together, so she goes to find him.
Maybe he doesn't remember that he's part of that family.
That could work. Or it could be like he's like disfigured and doesn't think he belongs or something. We could do a little bit of like Phantom of the Opera, where there's like a rumor of a ghost that lives in the high school, and then midway through, you think the reveal is that it's going to be Quasimodo, but then there's also an actual ghost there, which is Slenderman.
You know,
like,
it could be a Catholic high school. It could actually have like, it could be a really rich one with a bell tower.
That's true.
Yes.
I like it. So Molly's going to the place where her, say, brother died because she's convinced that he's still alive, right? And she wants to reunite the family. Scully is the mom.
Scully works at this school at some capacity and is also Molly's mom. 5 or 10 years earlier or whatever, the grandpa and Quasimodo were studying the supernatural at this school. They did some sort of experiment or something that ended up causing the grandpa to ascend to like a higher plane of existence.
Okay.
And maybe it also like scarred or deformed Quasimodo, and he went into hiding and the grandpa disappeared, but he's haunted by visions of the grandpa, who is a ghost who commands him to do stuff around the school, and he like serves him as like a Frollo type figure, and then he ends up sort of fighting against Molly early on as she's trying to investigate, but then like halfway through, he ends up turning and joining her and fighting against Slenderman. Scully starts off trying to get her to not investigate this stuff. Then eventually she gets pulled in, and then all three, Quasimodo, Molly, and Scully, all turn against the Slenderman and find a way to like banish the grandpa's vengeful ghost, which has become all evil and bitter and shit.
Claire, that is the exact same thing I was thinking of.
Yes?
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's brilliant. The only tweak I would make is that instead of trying to find a way to banish it, they eventually find a way to bring him back, because it's about reuniting the family.
Like get him to like let go or something of his hatred and blah, blah, blah.
I mean, either that or resurrect his punk ass. Either one.
I think that's a little much. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see how we feel at the end.
I think Grandpa Slenderman needs to go to Jesus.
I also really love the idea of Scully, like a diehard skeptic, working in a Catholic high school.
Yeah, well, Scully's a Catholic.
Oh, what? I didn't know that. Sorry, guys. Didn't know. Sorry, fans. I'm a terrible person of watching.
She's Christian, at least. I don't know if she's specifically Catholic. I forget. But yeah.
That's wild.
All right, guys. So logline. Oh, man. This is a young girl trying to find her long dead
What happened to grandfather?
brother, ends up discovering that he's still alive and under the enthrall of his ghost grandpa. How about this? A young girl reunites her estranged family and banishes the ghost of her vengeful grandpa in a school. You like that?
Beautiful.
I love it.
That's the thing.
We did it.
Also,
Yay.
in
Go
the
home,
80s,
everybody.
we'll figure that out
Also, there's 80s music playing all the time.
all the time.
Lots of montages and leg warmers.
Slenderman is wearing a members-only jacket. It's fine.
So the next step we have is the beat sheet. The book Save the Cat has like 15 or so beats in it. I've narrowed it down to 12. We're going to work our way through 12 beats. They are opening image, theme stated, catalyst, break into act 2, B story, fun and games, midpoint, bad guys close in, all is lost, break into act 3, finale, closing image. We're going to work our way through those and fill in the blanks. So first up, we have opening image. So this is who is the character that we're starting with? You know, what's their situation? It should be relatively stable, but there should also be something that needs fixing in their life. And there should probably also be like a lesson they need to learn. Something's not right in their life and they have a longing.
Oh, it's obviously Molly. She's obviously
Yeah,
we'll
it's
start with
clearly
Molly.
Molly. Molly is the character. She's got this life with her mom, but she knows it's incomplete. Can I just say, why don't we just make Slenderman the dad?
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the dad and son went missing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oof. Yeah, I like that.
I don't know why we went with Grandpa. Maybe Grandpa's just funnier for some reason.
Yeah, it's good. I like
yeah,
Dad.
yeah,
All right,
Dad's
cool.
good. Oh, he's got a business suit. Yeah, it works.
What's like the opening scene with her? Specifically, what is she doing?
Okay,
That's a sign of, like, you know,
she's obviously in her room getting ready for school. Madonna's playing on the radio. By the
Yeah.
way, the colors are insane. Everything's neon.
There's like a picture of like her and her brother when they were younger, like
Aw.
stuck near her window or her
So-
mirror rather.
Does she know about the supernatural at this point? Is she actively into the
No.
supernatural? Does she
No,
not
I would say no.
Are we going with like this is her first day at school, going to this new school where her brother went?
Sure. Or early enough in the school year.
Okay. So she starts going to this school and it's supposed to be like, you know, haunted and her brother died there and there's like a little bit of nerves about it. And maybe like when she gets to school, she gets like weird looks like, oh, it's the little sister of the kid who died.
I heard her dad died too. So
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
They both went missing, but they were like weird, like ghost hunters or something. They were
Yeah.
like, you know,
That's what you
Yeah.
get for not loving the Holy Ghost enough.
Right.
and
I
playing
heard
with
they
too
were-
many Ouija boards.
Exactly. I heard they were devil worshippers. That's what happens when you sin.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the next step is theme stated. Someone needs to make a statement about the thematic subject that we're dealing with in this. So it should probably be something about family. It should maybe also be something about like maybe grief or letting go or something like that. And someone's going to make a statement about it. And by the end of the movie, we will either have that statement proven correctly or proven incorrectly, but it's just planting a little seed in the mind of the audience. So who's like the person? What's the thing that they're going to say?
I love the idea of like a family tree project being assigned and her just being like, oh.
Aw.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think maybe the mom states the theme.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
What would Scully say about family, or what would Scully say about loss? Like, what are some of the things she might say about these
Maybe
things?
she's very pessimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
because
like
she's
that.
very skeptical, maybe it's just like, you know what, there's no point looking into these things. We just have to like accept the harsh reality as it exists.
Maybe she's asking her questions about her family and her, like, family tree for this, like, project. And Scully says something kind of like, that doesn't matter. Like, she helps her fill in, like, the basics that she needs to satisfy the assignment, but Molly keeps asking, like, follow-up questions that aren't related to the assignment, asking questions about her dad and stuff like that. And she's like, he's gone, get over it. There's nothing that you'll learn by going into this. Just kind of, like, move forward, be your own person, as opposed to, like, look back, think about your family.
Especially the be your own person part, because I think
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is like, our community unit is broken and it's not getting fixed. So
Right.
you need to go out and be self-sufficient because nobody's going to be around to watch your back because you have no family anymore.
Okay, that sounds good.
So grim.
I mean,
love it.
it's a horror movie.
It is.
Right.
I love it.
One more question. Is Molly going to save a cat around this time?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I think it probably is a cat, actually. Oh my God, I bet it's a black cat, and I bet some of the kids at the school were like, get out of here,
Yes.
Satan cat.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
so good.
She's like, my mom tells me that blah, 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 science. Like,
Yeah, Satan's fake.
They've got this black cat, right? And they're chasing it out, but Molly saves it and keeps it because, her mom just got finished telling her that, like, she has to be her own person and not rely on anyone, so she knows she can't rely on her mom, but maybe this cat can be her family.
sure. That's so sad.
Oh man, that cat's got to save her in the last scene from Slender Man. I'm gonna tell you what.
Oh, I also want the
I'm
cat
down.
Soviet
to
Russia,
be like,
cat saves you.
I want the cat to have like a big scar. You know how cats they fight a lot and they get some like nasty scars on
Yes.
it? Maybe he's got a big scratch on its eye and part of his fur is missing because it had some real scraps.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Warrior
At the
cat.
very least, the cat should, like, lead her to the journal somehow.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, good.
It'd be
good.
fun if it's a cat that like lives around the school and like knows of like all the hidden passages and stuff like that, and she like
Yeah.
follows it and discovers hidden stuff that way.
So many
Yeah,
chills.
I love it.
Now we're at step 3, which is the catalyst, which is the thing that breaks her out of her stable thing and is like starting to introduce her to the main plot. Sometimes the characters will start to resist the catalyst at first, but then they'll eventually give into it. But that doesn't necessarily need to happen. But like, what's the thing that comes around that like breaks her out of her day-to-day life and starts to introduce her into the weird world of this story that we're telling?
I think that the film switches to Quasimodo's point of view. From his point of view, he sees her from the back, and then she turns and sees him, and then he's gone. And then that's whenever all of this starts.
If Quasimodo is working for like the evil, vengeful Slenderman ghost,
Yeah.
then Quasimodo's actually probably going to start off doing something bad, but like feeling bad and conflicted about it. And maybe like he'll hold back from hurting Molly and like run away, but he comes to do something to like terrorize people.
Well, so here's the question that I would ask is
Yeah.
what is the Slenderman ghost's feeling about Molly? Does it want to protect her or does it want her to stop investigating? Because
Right.
it could be like a bully, like one of the people who make fun of her, like gets pushed down a flight of stairs or something.
You know what would be actually cool? Because the whole thing with Slenderman is that if you like learn about him,
Yes.
that's like giving him power. The way ghosts could work in this is people have to remember you and like be afraid of you in order for you to have power. And so Quasimodo goes around and like pushes people downstairs and like does bad things so that people believe in the ghost more, so that the dad ghost has more power.
I just realized how fucking perfect this is because Slenderman has proxies, and that's what
Yeah.
Quasimodo is to him.
Right.
This is great. Yeah.
I think that basically the thing that's going to happen with the catalyst that we've decided is like maybe they're like setting something up for some like school dance or whatever, and like a ladder falls over with a kid on it, or like, a
Yes.
big heavy statue falls down, and maybe like a kid gets like a broken leg or something like that, and then everyone's like, oh, it was the ghost, and then Molly looks and sees the Quasimodo guy like hiding in the shadows running away, and she's like, oh, I saw this guy, that kind of thing.
Catches a glimpse, yeah.
Catches a glimpse, yeah. So then I guess break into Act 2 is where the character leaves their normal world and starts investigating the new world of the supernatural.
Does it involve the cat?
I like that.
She starts hanging out with the cat, and she gets interested in the haunting, especially because, like, her mom doesn't believe any of it. But I think that the break into Act 2 might be the cat leading her to a secret place.
Oh, don't it be cool, actually? If she finds that the cat has, like, a little place where it chills, like, its little lair, and it has, like, maybe some stolen objects or little things. It's got, like, a little nest or whatever. I don't know what it's called when it's a cat.
Cats don't really do the thing. You can maybe say den.
A cat burrow, a cat hutch.
Like the place where it sleeps and stuff like that.
It's like
It's like
it's
a
a
little
den.
hidden safe spot. It's den, whatever.
It's bedroom.
Yeah, it's chambers. So she finds this place.
It's boudoir.
It's maybe like there's like a board you have to lift or something to like squeeze, and like the cat squeezes through this little thing, and she can like anyway, and she goes to this little hidden room. That's when she finds the journal.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like
And then
right.
by studying the journal, she learns about other hidden passageways and starts like investigating all of the hidden places in the stuff, right?
The journal is like
Right.
creepily surrounded by mouse skeletons.
Yeah.
Is the journal the brothers or the dads?
I think it was the journal that they had together. It was probably more the dad's. It was the journal that they had when they were like doing ghost investigations and stuff.
So we've established that Quasimodo does something, breaks something, hurts somebody to like propagate the idea of a haunting, right?
Yeah.
So we could say that That happens, and the kids immediately blame the cat, and, like, the fact that she saved the cat, and, like, come after her and or the cat, and they have to, like, the cat runs to its secret place and she follows.
That would work, yeah.
Oh,
And I mean, they could blame her because she's the weird witch girl who's related to the ghost family, that thing, you know?
And she's got to get under there quickly because people are chasing her, so she, you know, rips up the floorboard or whatever and is stronger than she thought she was.
Oh.
Is she still gonna have superpowers in this?
What if the longer she's got that journal on her, the more she's getting like weird shit like that? And after she uses like the super strength that this journal gives her, she gets really tired because there's an exchange that has to happen with this book.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
She could like read something in the book about how to unlock your inner potential and like a mind over matter, how to get psychic powers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh god, you're making it sound like The Secret for a second.
Right. But in her case, the form it's going to take of her getting these superpowers from reading this book is like temporary psychic super strength or whatever.
That drains her energy, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I think coming up soon, there's going to be a fight, like an argument between Molly and Scully.
Oh yeah, we haven't really done that yet. After she finds the journal, but before she starts going into the secret places, there's like a scene with her and her mom. It's in like the nurse's office, and her mom's like taking care of the kid's broken leg or whatever, you know? And she's talking to him about like, oh, I saw the weird ghost thing. There was like a hidden passageway thing, and her mom gives her the, you better not go looking after the stuff, you know, like we have that scene. And she's like, you're not gonna find anything. It's just dangerous. You're gonna get tetanus, all that stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah.
all right, so now we have the B story. There's the main story, and then there's a little side story. Oftentimes, the B story is a friendship or romance. So I think we know what this is going to be.
Oh, do we? I'm worried now. What is it?
What are you thinking?
The friendship between Molly and Quasimodo.
Oh, okay, well, that works. Sure.
Okay. I'm less worried now.
So as Molly's investigating the dark hallways, at some point she's going to run into Quasimodo. So what form do you guys want this to take?
I want her to be about to step somewhere very dangerous in this old falling down school, and for him to come out of the shadows and just push her out of the way.
Do you think he should maybe start off more like trying to scare her away, though?
I was kind of thinking, like, maybe, you know, you mentioned Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe a thing kind of along those lines where it's, like, at first he's trying to scare her away, but she kind of refuses to be intimidated by him.
Right.
I have a question. Does he remember her as his sister?
Yeah, I guess the question is, how much has his mind gotten messed with by Slender Dad?
Well, yeah, why don't we could say not at first.
Right.
Like, neither of them knows who the other is at first. Like, he catches her snooping around, right? And, like, arranges so that something heavy, like, knocks into her and, like, pins her down. But she's got the super strength now, so she, like, flips it off and then, like, falls asleep.
Oh, okay.
And in that moment, he, like, has a flash of recognition, and instead of, like, killing her, decides to, I don't know.
Bring him to his
bell
room
tower
that has all of the weird candles and pools of water everywhere and the...
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yes.
let's do that.
Is
All right.
that in the bell tower? I mean, we gave this place a damn bell tower.
It's in the bell tower.
In an 80s bell tower. It's in an 80s.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in the bell tower, but like, and it looks normal from the outside, but inside it's got all these like fucking
It's neon.
hair metal band posters up on the walls.
Yes.
Does our Quasimodo have, like, glam hair?
Yes. He absolutely does. And he has taken stuff from the other kids. And so it's just a mishmash of all this 80s stuff.
Oh, I kind of like that. I was imagining he looks a little bit like a Quasimodo version of Bender from Breakfast Club.
Okay.
But I like the mishmash, the just collection of like giant shoulder pads.
Yeah, and then there's like a Wham poster and some other just weird stuff everywhere. Those little like squidgy eraser heads.
I would say like he's about to kill her, and then like he sees the cat, you know, and the cat kind of like distracts him for a second, just long enough for him to actually recognize her.
I like it being the superpowers. I like it being like a, wow, you're like special or different, and something about you is also familiar, you know, that kind of...
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Because I like
that.
it like he throws a heavy thing at her, and then she like catches it, and he's like, how the heck did you do that? And then she throws it aside and passes out, and he's like, that's really weird.
I love it. Okay, let's do it.
So the section that we're in now is what's called the fun and games section. This is point 6. This is the part where it's like, if this is a movie, this is where most of the trailer stuff happens. This is, what is the premise of the movie? This is where most of that premise stuff is actually happening. This is where the movie is the movie.
So we're definitely going to see Slender Man now.
Yeah.
We didn't before.
This is the part where I think we have to have like trying to bring the family together, the family pulling itself apart, and investigating supernatural stuff needs to be happening in here. So I kind of feel like we should have the thing where it's like she goes up to the bell tower and they talk for a bit, and maybe she like is starting to recognize him and is like trying to get him to rejoin, but he's like not ready, and maybe like
then Slender Man finds out.
Right, or like Slender Man starts speaking to him in his mind, and he like turns on her and she has to run, and he turns more hostile now, and maybe she tries to bring the mom in, maybe the mom doesn't want to. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on some scenes or some elements we can have in the story here?
Oh, I've got a trailer scene in my head right now.
Sure.
She's like walking through a classroom at night, like way after hours, and all of a sudden the TV in the classroom turns on and is playing Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper, and then all of a sudden it switches from that into pure static. And like the music intensifies, and like she can tell there's something on the other side of the door.
Slows down and distorts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. Stop it!
It'd be cool if it's like, maybe one of the things that Quasimodo does in this is he'll like do creepy shit like that and set it up, and then when the other people start getting freaked out by it, that lets Slender Man manifest. But first they have to be afraid of other shit. So he's like the hype man beforehand, and then maybe like Slender Man starts manifesting.
Maybe Quasimodo's leaving those very specific Slender Man notes around school.
Slender Man notes?
Yeah, okay, so in the game Slender, the 8 pages, you're lost in the woods and you pick up the first page and it just says like random kind of creepy things that are specific to Slender Man on them, like always watching. It says a bunch of different things on the notes. But yeah, like he can very easily like leave those around, and that starts the urban legend and just gives Slender Dad power.
So maybe what we're looking at here is Quasimodo takes Molly up to the bell tower, and they, like you said, they start kind of having some moments, and they start to bond a little bit. They come pretty close to like recognizing each other, actually. And then Slender Man shows up in his head, and he immediately turns hostile towards her, and she like flees, right? And at that point, Slender Man decides, fuck it, she's got the journal, like she's gonna find out. So we might as well stop being subtle about this.
That's a little bit more the next point, which is the midpoint / bad guys close in, I think. But
okay, well, we can stretch it out a little bit.
We can, yeah. So the fun and game stuff for this story, it's trying to reunite the family and trying to investigate the supernatural stuff. But I think the whole thing is she can't do it by herself, and she needs the family to be reunited in order for it to happen. So at this stage, they should maybe still be like kind of scattered a little bit.
We're keeping in the stuff about they get close in the bell tower for a minute, and then she runs away because Slender Man shows up in his head, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that's good.
That's great.
So then she goes back to kind of like her life, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the fun and game section. So this is the point where she's looking more into the journal. It's almost a montage, right? Like she's looking more into the journal. She's doing more investigating. But one thing that keeps happening is that her mom keeps shutting her down.
Right.
And meanwhile, while all this is going on, the haunting stuff is happening maybe a little bit more frequently. She's noticing.
Can we give Scully a little bit more to do? Can we say that Scully is just super convinced that there's a logical explanation, and she's going super hard that route, so it's not being helpful?
Would she be like maybe imposing a bit more martial law in the school? You know what? We could actually make this a little bit Matilda, where like Scully sort of ends up becoming a little bit Trunchbull-ish, and
Trunchbullian, if you will.
Yeah, and like Molly ends up being a little bit Matilda-ish, like defying her. Maybe Scully has some pull with like the principal and stuff, and she ends up like, until we stop this ghost nonsense, this privilege is taken away. And like,
I mean, Scully could also just be the principal.
Right. Well, I thought we were gonna go like nurse with her, but we could do principal. What do you guys want to do with her?
Principal mom.
I like principal mom.
Principal?
It's
Cool.
way better
That's
than
good.
cliche like nurse. I don't know that I want her to be Trunchbullian necessarily. I just feel like her stubbornness about how this is not a ghost, if there is something going on, it's like just a person, or like this school is shitty and old, we need to fix it.
I want you to see echoes of that in her character that could come out, that are starting to come out a little bit more. She doesn't have to go super far down that road, but like she's like starting to like impose stricter laws because she thinks it's just kids fucking around, and is like taking stuff away from the kids a little bit.
Right,
and trying
because
to
she
investigate
needs to be saved too.
Yeah.
By the family.
Okay, gotcha.
I see Molly like maybe using her powers to like misbehave and like circumvent the rules and help the kids, and like sneaking stuff through the tunnels, like whatever contraband there is, like they can't have sodas or candy in the school or whatever the thing is. And she's like,
I think that might be adding an unnecessary layer to it. I think that, like, I think it might be enough for her to have to continue her investigations while under much closer watch.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she has to be a resistance hero at this point.
Okay, sure.
I think it's too much.
I think there's also the possibility for Scully to investigate, but from a very logical standpoint that Molly knows is incredibly dangerous, but Scully refuses to hear that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Just walking into danger and going, no, it's not a monster.
Yeah, Scully is like, you kids can't handle this. It's for the adults to handle. And Molly's like, but it's a monster.
Yeah, Scully just walking down a hallway by herself with nothing. She's just going like, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
Molly going, but you should be.
All the electronics, there's just something kind of weird with the electronics here. I mean, the PA system just keeps staticking and all the TVs keep staticking. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So does something bad happen to her then?
I think, what was the next part that we were supposed to get to? Or the
Yeah, the
closing
next thing
in?
is the midpoint. The midpoint can be kind of a couple different things depending on what your sort of genre is. It's oftentimes a sort of like false victory or like new status quo type thing. It can also include a point where the character, they're shown the lesson that they need to learn, even though they're not ready to learn it yet. And so it sort of gets like planted in the back of their brain if it's about like character growth. If it's about just more of an external plot, it can just be like a new element gets introduced to the plot now to keep the second act from getting boring. One example of this could be like in Back to the Future, this is the moment where Marty starts to notice that he's disappearing from his pictures.
It seems pretty obvious to me. So the new status quo is that things are getting worse and Mom's cracking down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scully's getting in the way of Molly's investigations, and Scully won't take her daughter's assistance, and so does probably get hurt by Quasimodo or the monster. You know, obviously the lesson here is neither of them can do it alone.
Right.
That's so nice.
So, like, they both encounter some sort of trouble apart from one another, trying to use their different approaches, not having each other to watch their backs, or what?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Didn't you say, like, one of the next parts was, like, enemies closing in?
Bad guys closing is the next step after this, yeah.
Okay, I think that's the perfect part of the movie for Scully to begin to doubt her own doubting.
Right.
Because maybe she
Yes.
finally actually sees Slender Man.
Right.
Like,
okay.
sees him.
So yeah, like before this, we'll say there was a scene where she was investigating and something happened to her to keep her from going it, but it was something that she was able to write off as being normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yes.
Yeah.
some like ceiling collapsed or something fell on her or whatever. Or like, yeah, a person disappeared around a corner and they were gone and she couldn't find them. Like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
So the critical moment is her realizing that there's something else going on.
Right. Yeah. Do we think we're okay with this? Were we cool with moving on to Bad Guys Close In or?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I think it kind of blends together.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Because, like, she's about to get hurt by somebody, or at least highly inconvenienced.
Yeah. So Bad Guys Close In. This is where, all right, the heroes have been having their fun. We've been having the nice happy trailer moments where our things been humming along, but now bad things start to happen. Now the good guys really start to lose. Now the bad guys really start to get the upper hand. So this is, I think, a time where Slender Man should come out into the open, manifest, do crazy shit, like not just be hidden anymore,
I
right?
have
Like,
a scene in mind again.
go for it.
Oh, wait, dude, can you hold it in your head for
Yes,
one sec?
yes.
The catalyst for Slender Man finally showing up is Scully believing. That was the thing that needed. That was the thing that needed to happen.
Yes,
That's
the
cool.
skeptic.
Oh.
The skeptic broke and that like fully unleashed him. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
some-
You
freaky.
fool. What have you done?
So something weird happens and she like goes to her daughter. She's like, you know what, Molly? I'm starting to believe you. I think there might be something going on. And then like all the lights in the room go off.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, this has to be happening in school. Oh gosh. Okay, help me with this because I'm picturing the scene where Scully and Molly are like running through the school because shit's getting way too weird, and then all of a sudden the lights in the hallway that they're in are flickering, and at the very end of the hall they see a really tall, dark figure, and then over the PA, staticky playing is "Take on Me."
Oh God. And that Take on Me is the morning announcement music every day. And then
Yeah,
this is like the morning announcement from Slender Man going, "What's up, fuckers?"
We can blend that together, I feel like. They could just meet up in the corridor when Scully tells Molly that she believes,
yes.
all the lights go out, and then they just start to like flicker on a little bit.
Yeah.
And they see him at the end of the hall.
Oh my god,
Okay.
I creeped myself out so bad.
I know,
I'm so afraid of hallways.
Okay, guys, I
freaked
actually
out
I have
right
one
now.
thing. Now that I know this is where we're going, I have one thing I want to put back into the midpoint. So the midpoint often contains a false victory. It's the idea like, oh, we're doing well right before the bad guys close in. You know what I mean? Because you want to like set it up like maybe we're starting to do it. I think at the
Sure.
midpoint, Molly and Quasimodo should like reunite a bit more and be on the same team to a degree. They should like have a conversation. And I kind of feel like maybe Molly, while talking to Quasimodo, she says something like, you do all these scary things to people, but like you've not done anything to like my mom yet. Why is that? And he could even say something like, because I don't want her to believe or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's aware of it a little bit. He's like, I am keeping it away from her because that's like the one thing he's able to like hold on to because maybe that's a really powerful source of belief.
That's good, and that's her obstacle because like Molly's close to solving this whole thing by getting closer to Quasimodo, but she needs Scully as the missing piece to solving it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay, cool. Bad guys close in. What does Slender Man do? What's this like bad stuff that he's doing? Like, what are the consequences of this?
I mean, in the Slender Man games, if
what's Slender Man do?
he like probably violently rips you apart, if not completely, just like you go missing.
But are we gonna kill one of these characters?
No, but like other high school
we
kids.
should. Even a supernatural thriller has a little bit of violence in it. I don't want it to be like gory. I fucking hate those types of horror movies, but there probably has to be like some kind of death.
I'm fine with this being a relatively low body count sort of thing.
Yes.
If we want to kill somebody, we could kill one person, some sort of unsympathetic side character who's an asshole who challenges Slender Man.
Maybe really asshole dean.
Asshole vice principal?
Like a teacher, or a vice principal
The
who like
meanest priest in the school.
It'd be cool if it's like a priest comes up who has like a cross, who's like trying to like exorcise it, who's like, the power of Christ compels you. You cannot hurt me. The Lord is on my side and I believe that I'm strong or whatever. And then Slender Man comes in like, you don't believe hard enough for that. And then like kills him or whatever. Like,
I
can
like
tell
that.
like,
I like
you
that
know,
a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Slender Man wouldn't talk, but I think this would be a good scene where his tendrils come out and the camera cuts away right before you see anything horrible happen.
Right,
The other thing that I feel like should happen is that like right before all this is going down, like these two like sluttier Catholic school kids went off to go have sex. And then like the lights go
course.
out and the dude is like, oh no, babe, it's all right. It's romantic. And then they just die because they had sex in a horror movie.
No,
course,
and then they're being totally fine, and then nothing happens to them.
If you want right, if you want another like actual bad lustful character, every school has a pervy coach. Every
Yeah,
school.
pervy
And
coach.
you can kill the pervy coach.
Oh my god, kill the pervy coach.
Yeah, so some people die. Not
right.
our main characters, but some people die.
Yes.
All right. I don't think we kill the slutty teenagers. Let them have their fun.
You know, it would be really funny if the audience expects the slutty teens to die and they don't.
Yeah.
That would be actually pretty good.
So there you go.
I like a scene of them going off to have sex and then like nothing happens and they're totally cool.
No, dude. They go off to have sex and the lights go out, like I said, and it's very ominous and they're about to die and they hear a noise and it's the cat and it just like runs off.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
love
no,
this.
no, I got it. The pervy coach is spying on them and he gets killed.
Oh, I like that.
And they're fine. Because then it's an indictment of the people who get off on watching slutty teens die or
Oh,
whatever.
I'm down.
Nice.
I'm super down.
All right, cool. So that's Bad Guys Close In. Now we have the all is lost moment, which is the ultimate low point where the characters have like they're at their highest point of doubts and they have like the moment of sad reflection. Sometimes it'll be like night and they'll be on a bridge looking at the water or at the stars. How did things go so wrong? How did we get to this point? It's like that kind of moment.
Okay,
you know?
I do have a question that we have to probably solve it before we continue. Why haven't they run away from this school and contacted authorities or something?
So up until right now, I don't think the proof has been there enough.
Okay, and like now he's
And
just
now
so
all
powerful.
the doors just locked.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they just can't escape anymore. So this is probably why they think all hope is lost.
And all the phones are dead, obviously.
I mean, you can have one of these three characters get captured by Slender Man or something or whatever.
It's not really his MO, but we could change him.
Yeah, we're changing him a little bit.
I don't know. It feels a little weird for him to be murdering people and then just not. Like, he has to
I
have
mean,
a
these are his
reason.
family.
If you want Slender Dad to have a reason as to why he would want them alive.
You know what it could be? It could be like at this point in the movie, Quasimodo like turns on Molly and like brings her to him.
Oh yeah, that could work. Oh, because he hadn't like fully manifested before?
Yeah, and now he's just like terrified out of his mind.
Okay, yeah, so it could be Quasimodo captures Molly and starts bringing her to, like, wherever, like, their place is at the top of the bell tower or wherever, like, their spot is where they do the ritual. And
he keeps saying, like, I have to. Like, I have no choice.
And what they're planning on doing is sort of somehow converting her into a similar sort of thing of what he is, which is some sort of, like, servitor of him, which is, like, supposed to spread him. Yeah. And
which they want to do because she has her power.
And then maybe Scully has to, like, gear up and, like, go rescue Molly.
Yeah.
She has to get the
I
book.
love it.
Oh yeah, that'd be
book.
cool. Like she gets the book and picks it up and like has
and
to
the
like,
cat
and the cat.
And the
sure.
Yes.
She calls the cat Darwin.
Aww.
Because science.
Of course she does.
I don't know. She calls him Tesla. Tesla the cat. Something. Science the cat.
I like Darwin is the go-to name for like the pets of scientists and shit.
It is.
It's great.
It's a really good name.
It's a good name.
All right, the cat is Marie Curie.
Yeah, Marie Curie the cat. Oh, it's good.
All right, that is our all is lost moment. So break into Act 3 usually involves a crossing of another threshold. This time I think it's the same threshold, which is like the crossing into the dark places of the school, the hidden passageways, but it's a different character doing the crossing in that it's Scully.
I agree,
The
I like it.
cat leads her.
Everything's been expanded and made weirder and darker because Slender Man's come into his power.
Yeah, maybe there's like electricity crackling all over things and tentacles reaching out of portals and all that kind of stuff, you know, like...
Yeah, they have flashlights, but the batteries are going out, and it's great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And maybe there's stuff like, too, like the walls are shifting and like the architecture's kind of alive in a way, like all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And like occasionally Scully like sees weird things that remind her of her previous life with her husband and son.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Her husband's manifesting more, and it's like fucking with her psyche.
Yeah.
Cool. Now we have the finale, which is the final climax between the protagonists and the antagonists and all that stuff. The big climactic showdown. So what is our big climactic showdown?
Oh my god, how do you beat Slenderman?
The power of family and love.
Do we want to decide what's going on with the cat, too?
Okay.
Is the cat
do you know what would be
special?
cool? So what we could do, Slender Dad, what if when he was just normal dad, was trying to do something to like ascend to this higher plane of existence, which involves like doing shit to your soul and like splitting it, or like doing things where it's like you have to do something to your soul to like get it to go to this higher plane of the afterlife.
He was trying
whatever.
to combine science and religion, which must never be done.
Yes. And it'd be fun if what he did is he accidentally split his soul into like a sort of good personality and a bad personality. The bad personality became Slender Man, and the good personality went into the cat.
I like it.
the
I
cat.
like it.
Cat
Sweet
dad.
little kitty cat.
In Soviet Russia, cat really does save you.
Yeah. So it would be a sort of thing where like he got like reincarnated into a cat, but in order to do that, you have to like, it's sort of thing with like enlightenment in Buddhism. You have to be like pure and you have to be like centered in order to go to nirvana. You have to be enlightened. And he wasn't totally enlightened. And so the bad negative parts of him stuck around and became this ghost.
I'm digging it. Now, like, how do we solve the problem?
The book clearly allows people to have some kind of power or ability, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Molly was able to look at it and gain the strength abilities, which could help in this finale. But I think maybe what Scully has gotten from carrying it is sort of the antithesis of her arguably objectivist viewpoint to this point. She discovers that she has the power to combine the two parts of the soul together again, allowing it to ascend.
That could work. Like,
Is that...
I like that.
it could be the sort of thing that the ghost couldn't move on, so it like possessed this cat or whatever because the ritual was done improperly. So the ghost is still around, and there's also this like negative being. So her secret power then is her like scientific mind that she's able to figure it out in like a logical way and maybe learn how it works. By the way, we haven't stated this explicitly, but Quasimodo in the original stuff is always like super strong and like agile, and we can have him be like that's also because he studied the book and has like supernatural stuff. Because we didn't say that explicitly, but
it
like
works.
that can be.
It works.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. It does work. Now I'm picturing this moment, like, as we're breaking into Act 3, as she's descending, she's this, like, moment with the cat. Like, she and the cat, like, look at each other all meaningfully.
And she's like, is that cat giving me bedroom eyes?
Well, but the
And-
magic of the book has started to work on her, so she's starting to understand,
Right.
you know?
How does she figure this out? Did she manage to get her hands on the book during an earlier scene in the movie and was like trying to make sense of it? And like, okay, she's scientific, but also like her faith does come into her ability to ultimately defeat this thing.
Yeah. Just one random detail. I don't know if this helps us or not, but I like the idea that maybe Molly brought the book to her earlier. I was trying to avoid that because I thought like, oh, she would like take it away from her or destroy it or something. But you could have a thing where she like destroys the book or burns it, and either it doesn't work, it doesn't get destroyed, or it does, but then Molly finds it again later. Or it like reassembles itself or something. And maybe she finds that book again later, and that could be one of the things that puts her belief over the edge or something. And she's like,
That might be nice,
and makes her think about things differently.
If the book is a journal, then it might actually say what the husband did, what kind of ritual the husband did, and then maybe she, with her very logical mind, can figure out how to undo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, her husband attempted to combine science and religion to disastrous effects, but she is able to do it to positive effect because she combines her ability to reason with, like, her faith powering it.
Yes, science and religion can coexist.
The other thing that I think we could do with this is she stumbles upon this like fact that like, oh, if the ritual is done incorrectly, then the person's going to become a ghost, which is probably going to like attach itself to an object or a being. And there's going to be like this negative energy, spirit, whatever thing left over. And Molly could have been aware of that. Maybe Quasimodo was aware of that, but they weren't sure what it was. But she recognizes something in the cat that they didn't because she knew this guy is her husband. Something in its behavior, and she's able to put it together, and she figures out that they have to use the cat in some way to like overcome this thing. But like I'm trying to think about like what the thing would be that you have to do with the cat.
I'm not sure what that is, but I do think that it takes a minute for all this to get figured out and accomplished. And like while that's happening, like Molly and maybe Quasimodo too, but like Molly is kind of like holding back Slender Man with all of her strength, but then like slowly getting more tired.
Uh-huh.
And that could build the tension in the scene.
Yeah. Oh, I just had a thought. The reason that this thing went bad is maybe it's like there's this whole idea that in order for this thing to work, you can't have like the negative thoughts and you can't be like impure. And the thing that could have gone wrong is it was supposed to be a ritual that lets you travel to the afterlife, but it could just be like a temporary thing. They're just trying to do it, you know? And the thing that went wrong is Quasimodo was afraid of losing his dad. And so like his heart wasn't in it. And it was him trying to hold on to his dad that made things go wrong. And so he has to like let him go now in order for this thing to work. And he has to let go of this like twisted version of his dad, which he's still worshiping as his dad because he doesn't want to let go of him.
I like that. So Scully, who has realized at this point that Quasimodo is her son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has to like try and give him like the speech and convince him to do it. So the drama is, can Molly buy her enough time with her failing strength because she's getting sleepy to convince Quasimodo to do what needs to be done?
Okay.
And I don't think there's been a moment yet where Scully has said anything to Quasimodo saying, you know, you are my son. And,
yeah,
you know,
this could be that moment.
Exactly. It's okay. You can let him go. You won't be alone. You'll have us. Like, we will be your family and we love you. And that being the, I can do this.
Oh, God. Your
like
voice
that.
crackled when you said that. I was like, oh, no.
Slenderman, we're talking about him too much.
Do we decide the very final moments how Slenderman is banished? What happens with the cat? Does the cat also have to disappear?
Slenderman is beaten when Quasimodo like basically turns to him and tells him that he lets him go, right? Essentially.
Yeah, I think so.
And like yells it above all the noise and fury.
Right, yeah, I think that that's how we do it. And we realize that like it's sort of his attachment to his dad and his love of his dad, even as he got really twisted, was what was keeping him here. So I think it has to be something like Scully she may have said something in the past. Maybe she said something like, oh, your actions have consequences, and if you like do something, you can't like take it back, whatever, something like that. Where the dad was more like forgiving and like, I will always love you no matter what you do kind of thing. You know what I mean? Maybe Quasimodo was like a bit of a fuck up before. Maybe he was like a misbehaving kid, and maybe the dad was like more cool with it. And he's become so far down this road. She says something like, I'll always love you no matter what you do. You'll always still have a home to come back to. Whereas Slender Dad is saying like, if you don't do this, then you are no longer my son. If you were my good son, you would still do this. And he's like, oh, you're not my dad anymore. You're like this other, you know what I mean?
sure.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now that
Slender
feels
Man
right.
projecting that into his mind pushes him over the edge on that
Right,
story.
right. He says something like, you can't leave this place. You won't be my son anymore. Oh, wait, you're not my dad.
And then after that, the cat is just a normal cat, and they adopt it and take it home.
But it's not a magic cat anymore. Now it's just a regular cat that like leaves dead birds every now and then.
Right. That's fine. So now closing image. We have the opening image for what our characters were and what they wanted before. So what is the ending image? What is the end situation for our characters? What do you guys think?
I think it's like all of them together in the home being all happy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say it's science fair.
Until fucking Slender Man's hand comes out of his grave.
No,
That's how you end a horror movie.
No, but not I mean, the way a Slender Man horror movie would end is the happy family walks out of the room and then MTV gets staticky.
Yeah. I like
And then
that.
his like white face kind of is appearing behind the static.
I like that.
Now, do they still have the book and do they still have magic powers?
I think Quasimodo and Molly still have a little bit of powers. I think even Scully has a little bit, but is like trying to ignore it.
I think they keep the book.
You think they keep it? I mean, I guess that leaves it open for a sequel, huh?
That's what I'm saying.
Do they do the Jumanji thing where they do a half-hearted attempt to throw it away and then somebody can find it later?
Or you could always just say they make a big deal out of destroying it and like just don't talk about the fact that it's definitely going to come back because we've tried this before.
Yes. I think I like them not having powers anymore.
I like that too.
I think you can bullshit a sequel for any movie, honestly.
Right. We could say that the power that they were getting was like somehow being like a conduit for like the Slender Man powers. You know what I mean? Like, so Molly was sort of like unwittingly becoming like a servant. What was the term used, Kit?
Slender Man's servants are proxies.
Proxy. They were like unintentionally partially becoming like a proxy of him, and that was how he got the powers. And so now that he's not there, like the powers aren't there or whatever.
Right. And so in the sequel, when they can tell they're getting strong and weird again, they know.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I like that.
it.
Cool.
What is the 80s song that plays during the credits?
Oh man.
Is
The
it like,
Monster Mash, is that 80s?
It's like, hey, hey. Ooh. Sorry, that's more Breakfast Club. I can't.
It's just the entire soundtrack from the Breakfast Club.
It's good. It's so 80s.
What are we gonna name this thing?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Don't you forget about me. Sorry.
Oh.
Well, that'll be the last song for
I
sure.
mean, that's it.
There are movies that are named after songs. Just saying.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh God, okay.
I think it's a perfect name. I think it's so good.
Guys, this birth was a lot harder than the birth of our first child.
It was.
You know,
much-
the second child is always more difficult.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
I think we did a good job, guys. I'm proud of us.
I mean, my other goal that I could have brought was the one from Dunstan Checks In, so.
Which is what? Keep a monkey hidden or?
It's keep an animal away from people who are trying to get
Well,
it.
I thought the goal of Dunstan Checks In was to get a 6-star hotel rating.
Oh,
Six
yeah.
stars.
Well,
was,
there's
was
that-
I was I identifying with the wrong people?
Oh, yeah.
Smash Metafiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Schneiderman, with logo design by Claire Mulkerin.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, The Builder.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Reaganomics. All right, let's move on.
Is that what the mom's reading? A book
Book about Reaganomics.
No, she's not
like-
that kind of skeptic.
She's reading Atlas Shrugged.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, there we go. It's worse.
She's like, Molly, dear, you should stop believing in all of that superstitious nonsense. So let me tell you about trickle-down economics.
No!
You know,
What are
it
you
actually does
doing?
make sense that she'd be reading Ayn Rand if she's all about this individualist kick now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh. I'm so sorry, Scully.
Sorry for this character assassination, Scully.
It had to happen to somebody. It just happened to be you.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Don't stop believing.
No, don't you forget about me.
Shit. God damn it.
Don't you forget